I remember when I was 18, it was the first times I went to ever practice Tai Chi. And in the first classes, the teacher was teaching us to do standing meditation positions and to feel the energy in these positions. And I remember after a few classes being able to feel the first manifestation of energy of this magnetic force, and this would really blow my mind. I thought it was so amazing that this was so tangible, so real. It was not just a philosophy about this energy that connects everything, but it's something that we all can experience in such a direct way. And this got me wondering, how is it possible that nobody knows about this and that we actually ridicule everything about energy work and feeling the energy as something weird and strange and ultimately not real? For me was something really important, the fact that kids grow up being told that this whole aspect of reality doesn't exist, and kids experience aspect of this reality in their perception, in their feelings, in their body, or in their seeing, and adults simply tell them it's not real, and then slow by slow we learn to turn our attention away from that. And so at that time, I was a lot into philosophy, and I had developed a pretty negative view about the universe, pretty hopeless, which is, I guess, pretty normal for a teenager. And discovering all of this about energy and Taoism and this philosophy and this empowerment that came with it, it really gave me hope, and it really made me think, wow, this is huge, this is so real, this is something that could definitely change reality and the way we perceive it. So the next year, after I finished my high school, I was already on my first plane to China. And during my first trip, I realized it was not so easy, even in China, to find what I was looking for, to find out about energy work. But after a while, I kept on searching and looking for different schools, different teachers, and I eventually find people who could guide me in this. And in this period is when I discovered a new layer of possibilities through this practice. While before I was just trying to feel it more and more, in China I was taught how to move it in the body, how to feel it inside of myself, and the effect it has in the meridians, how could it be accumulated in the energy centers, and this opened a new universe of possibilities. These observations allows us to enter deeper in our body and to understand the various imbalances and blockages that we may have inside of us. And in this way we can get to know ourselves much better and understand the various energies that work in us, and also start to learn how to move the things and unblock the situation inside of us, and how with our mind, with our intention work, we can really affect the overall level of our well-being and of our health. In Chinese medicine they say that if there is flow there is no pain, and if there is pain there is no flow. This level of practice is really empowering and also brings us back to ourselves and to our own body that we are so disconnected from. And so it's really precious, it's really enriching practice. After some time I went back to China, and in that period is where I finally found my teacher in Five Immortals Temple. And my energy practice at the moment was on a plateau of some kind. I couldn't really increase anymore the intensity and the sensitivity I could experience in my body or in my chi perception. And uh, and so I was asking him about this, and in which direction it could be possible to grow. So he was telling me that the next level of my practice will be to focus more on the qualities of the energy fields and to work with energy fields. So in Qigong, there are many exercises where we focus our perception on natural elements, elements that are external to our physical body. In Taoism, this connection with the natural elements is considered very important and very sacred, and the natural forces of the universe are considered as teachers. And this becomes really a real thing when we practice Qigong, because we spend time to really observe and go deep into the feelings of the sky and the earth. And by observing them for a long time, we slow by slow become able to really appreciate the qualities that they hold in and the wisdom that these qualities carry. I like to think about this in a similar way to how we make friends, because to make a friend, we need to spend a lot of time with this person to get to know this person personally and really try to listen to this person. In this way, this person can enrich us. And it's the same with the natural forces. We really need to establish a relationship that is personal with these forces for them, their knowledge and their wisdom to really affect us. This ability of feeling energy qualities of things is really something that we do all the time, that everybody does continuously. When you think about something and when you see something, you have together with it certain feelings. In this practice, we really want to observe these feelings that we have when we connect with something and be able to extract information from it. And to be able to do this with greater accuracy, we need to be able, well, on one side, to increase the depth and the focus of our observation, and on the other side, to be able to get our own thoughts about it, our own feelings and ideas about it out of the way as much as possible. The more we do this, the more the energetical qualities of this thing we are observing will start to emerge more and more, and we will be able to observe and understand and to feel them in ourselves. During my times at the temple, this connection with the natural forces became stronger and stronger, and always more and more personal in a way, also because there were periods where I would be a lot by myself. Especially in the winter, there would be not many people inside the temple, and we would have a lot of time for ourselves and to practice the Qigong outside in the nature, in the forest, and see the sky and this beautiful landscape that was surrounding the temple, and really starting to feel more and more a part of this forest, of this mountain, of the sky. And that was really bringing a lot of learning contents in it. So when we connect to a natural element, as for example the sky, if we are able to look deeply into it, we may individuate certain qualities of it. For example, of the sky may be peace and openness and silence. And when we experience those qualities in this observation, those qualities are present into our consciousness. And in this way, just by experiencing them and observing them in a natural element, these qualities are appearing into our own energy field, in our own consciousness, and becoming part of us. This is like opening a whole new level of perception of reality, or learning a way to communicate with things in nature or in the whole world that goes beyond language, and that can create a really close connection, like cut the division between us and the external world. When I started all this path of exploration of mind, I used to be like very anti-religious or anti-spiritual in a sense, as where I grew up, well, I had a very strong anti-Christian feeling in myself. I was very fed up on how Christianity was behaving around me, so I didn't like that. And this kind of gave me a lot of resistance to get close to any spiritual content. And I think this, on one side, was very good because it made me very rational about it. It made me analyze it a lot. But with these practices, somehow I started to get closer and closer to what we consider sacred or divine, in a way that that was accessible for me and acceptable for me, because it was based on experience that I could touch, because it all was supported by the Qigong practice. And obviously then being in a temple learning with my master, at the beginning I was kind of avoiding the more religious aspects, or kind of not considering it in a way, because obviously we had altars, we had rituals that nobody is let's say, obliged to participate into. But I saw that my master obviously was giving a lot of importance to that, and slow by slow, with the practice, this also started to become more real, more meaningful. And after a while, I realized that in the same way we could connect with the natural forces as the sky, then we could also do the same with these religious spiritual symbols that we had in the altars, and that they connect to some energetical quality that also has a lot of wisdom, a lot of power in it. So in the following year, I started to put more and more energy into attempting to establish a connection with those energy qualities that I would consider as belonging to other planes of existence. And I was doing this using the practice of Qigong and meditation as usual. And also this time I was implementing more and more the practice of prayer, because I was really expressing my desire and my wish to connect with those forces for the sake of understanding more of who I am and what am I doing here, and let's say all these big questions that we all have. And to my biggest surprise, after a while, this really started happening, and I was really freaked out because even if in some part of me I believed in this, and it made sense to me that this would exist, that the world is big and wide and is not only, what we perceive is only like a little part of the spectrum of existence. But then starting to interact with these things, um, yeah, see, I think is I got so scared also because in our society we put down so much everyone who speaks about these topics and about entities, about ghosts or whatever of these things. And every tradition in humanity speaks about this, and still nowadays we make so much fun of it and we attribute madness to it. So I was really doubting my own experience and being afraid of going crazy basically. And so I think it's very important to start to talk about these things. And if you have an experience, uh, that is normal to talk about it, and many people actually do have experience, and normal people like you and me can access these things naturally or through practice. And yeah, every time I was asking to my master, like, oh my god, I experienced this, I saw this and that, he was like, oh, it's very normal. And yeah, it's funny for me to remember, but actually I can understand how this makes a lot of sense, because it is very normal, and it is it is not so alien or so strange. And allowing this possibility in our lives, it really opens the ground for us to experience what we naturally are capable of experiencing. The last aspect of energy work that I would like to bring the attention to is on how the energy work can affect our perception of ourselves. When we practice observing different energy qualities and energy fields, then we can use the same ability to observe our own energy field and understand the qualities of its vibration, or the different qualities that compose its vibration. Our energy field results from our physical condition, emotional condition, our mental condition of that moment, and also from the past, or better said, from how we have perceived the past, or from in which way the past have affected us and our consciousness. All of this results in certain energetical qualities and patterns that then create certain behaviors or attitudes in our character. Looking deeply into our own energy field, we will be able to individuate its patterns and its qualities more and more, and then simply bring in more of the qualities that we feel that are more relevant for us and more important. In the same way as before in the example of connecting with the sky, we can choose to learn certain qualities from the outside and then generate this quality more and more and intensify it in our energy field. In the same way, if we observe some pattern or energy quality that is limiting us and that is not beneficial for us, then we can work on healing or transforming and gradually eliminating this energy that is affecting us. This also implies to individuate which thinking patterns and which ways to see ourselves are supporting this energy quality that is limiting us in some ways. This is very empowering because it gives us back the ability to choose how do we want to vibrate, how do we want to feel, in which type of energy we want to have around us and to spread to the people around us. And having this ability is like reaching a certain maturity of your own energy field and your own responsibility of your own energy field. With the same type of observation that we do on our energy field, there is one aspect that is particularly central and important in this practice, that is to direct this observation to the center of ourself. Looking at the center of ourself is like opening a door that opens to infinite marvels. And this very same thing is done in different ways in different spiritual traditions and spiritual practices. For example, by creating more mental silence and allowing this center to express itself more, or by looking at the center of the physical body, or by asking ourselves the question of who am I? When we are able to connect with some extent to this that we have inside of us, then we are able to do the same work as we were doing before with the natural elements, but using our inner self as a teacher. That's why it's called the inner teacher or the inner guide. And by doing so, we are able to uncover more and more of the qualities of this inner self, these deeper levels of our being, and to bring them, to integrate them more and more into our conscious self, in the self that we are every day in our life. Also, by observing the resonance or the lack of resonance of a certain quality with our inner compass, we can know if that quality is relevant or not for us in that specific moment of our journey. And in this way, have guidance to in which direction to move in this phase of our path. Connecting to deeper and more expanded levels of our being is like connecting to a bigger computer which has more memory and more power in it. And in this way, if we are able to connect and integrate these qualities into our being, we will be able to express more and more of our limitless potential. And when we look inside to ourselves, to who we are, we realize that what we tend to identify with normally is just a list of characteristics and memories and likes and dislikes. And that behind all of these characteristics, there is a self, there is a center, there is an I that experiences all of this. And this self is more expanded, is more free, is not limited by these walls that we have constructed to define it in a certain way. And also, the construction of our character happened in ways that were not totally in our control, were more by the environment, the story, the circumstances. So, really connecting to the more unlimited self that we are, then we can choose to create, to mold our character in the way that we see more fit, in the way that allows us to express more of what we wish to express. In this way, connecting to deeper levels of ourself, we can receive wisdom from ourself and each time feel more full of I, more expanded, more present, more being, less like in the movie of, less asleep. And this is a way to receive knowledge and wisdom from an internal source and to unify with that source and to become more of that source. So if you're still watching until here, then thank you very much for watching. I hope this video has been useful for you in some ways. And please let me know what you think about the story that I've been sharing and the different types of energy work. And if you relate to this in your own practice. And well, see you next time and have a great day.